So I actually have a question in that regard. So I think what made these AI capable of doing natural language-based reasoning is because they now seem to capture the reasoning traces, something that mathematicians call reasoning traces of proofs, and they now understand what is a plausible reasoning trace and what is not, and they can locally check whether they are coherent or consistent. And is it actually the case for like a general language domain as well?
Yeah, this is such a great question. I have like several thoughts. So one is, so I'd say like my own personal feelings about how the human works is that humans are not fundamentally this kind of a logical thing, right? They're doing something else. And I was very excited about the move towards neural networks as an alternative to other computational models of the mind because they didn't require this very explicit symbolic manipulation mechanism. So if it's been fascinating to watch the move towards reasoning models, which to me feels like a reversion back to an older kind of an AI. And so I've been very interested.
Looser, right?
But in a looser way.
Loosey feel
exactly.
To it.
So maybe it's this neurosymbolic type of a thing. And so it's quite interesting. So I think kind of understanding that mechanism and what role are these different types of reasoning playing in order to kind of get the powerful systems we have. But one of the studies we're working on now is we do a lot of interpretability work of trying to say like what's happening inside the model when it produces certain behavior. So we've been looking at some of these reasoning traces, and something that's quite interesting is, it's not as though it's doing the pure deductive logic thing, right? There is latent stuff happening between the steps. So it's not like you have this thing where you're like, if this is the trace, if like we're doing these basic manipulations, no non-Euclidean geometry or anything. It's like 1 + 1 is 2, literally, right? So it's like it'll write out like 1 + 1 is 2. Like you say, like what's now I have to come up with something that includes 1 + 1. Like what's 11 + 21 or something? And it'll say, well, 1 + 1 is 2, and 1 + 2 is 3, so it's 31 or 32. And if you replace it, you say 1 + 1 is 3. If it was doing this purely logical thing, it should copy the 3 and say, therefore it's 33, right? Because it's like I solved that step, and now I copy the step in this something like the 2-column format, right? Like, but instead it won't do that, right? It'll do all kinds of crazy things. Sometimes it'll do that. It'll just copy the error. Sometimes it'll say 1 + 1 is 3 and 1 + 2 is 3. Therefore, the answer is 32, which means it actually just knew it was 32, wrote the chain, and then said 32 other. Sometimes, and some of the most fascinating things is it'll get caught in this loop. Like it's thrown off because you've now put it in a state where its chain doesn't match what it actually thinks the chain should be, and it'll never get out of it. It'll just say, and 1 + 1 is 3, 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 and just forever.
Madness.
And other kinds of stuff happening. So you get this kind of weird thing where it's like it has the look and feel of a deductive logic system. It's not actually at its core a deductive logic system. We're kind of coercing it to act deductive in a certain way, and this improves power, but it's also kind of adds confusion about what type of a system it is. But I would also argue maybe not that unhuman-like in that way, right? Like we kind of teach ourselves to do these processes, and then there's other stuff happening in our head between what we write on paper and stuff. So yeah,
I see.
It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. Thanks.